When I first started off as an entrepreneur, I was constantly working. Right from the moment I woke up until I was too exhausted to stay awake, and then again the next day. The busier I was, the more productive I felt, the more output I felt I was generating. And for some time that might have been true, but eventually I was forced to realize that this style of working is just not sustainable. Even though I was pushing myself to power through the slumps and the bad days and every working hour of every day, just because that's what I thought it meant to be productive, I was not doing so well. I realized I was getting tired halfway through the day. I was getting distracted easily. I was getting frustrated. And overall, the quality of my work was just not up to the mark. No matter how much inspiration I think I had, or how many cups of coffee I drank, this really only began to change when I redesigned my workday. And it was a bit counterintuitive to me at the time, but all I needed was to take more and better breaks from work. So in this video, we'll be talking about how to take effective breaks from work to boost your productivity. Hey friend, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Dan, and in this channel we explore the strategies and tools to become more effective and productive. So if you're anything like me and you're always looking for ways to work smarter, please consider subscribing to the channel. And now let's continue with this video. We love to think of our brains as computers, and in many ways we are justified in this belief. But one fundamental way in which our brains are nothing like computers is our working and resting patterns. Computers can go on computing endlessly as long as they have a steady power supply, but our brains cannot. Human beings are products of millions of years of evolution that is always dependent on a cycle of work and, just as importantly, rest. And this applies just as much to our brains as it does to our muscles and all the parts of our bodies. But knowing that breaks are good for you and for your productivity is not enough. I was constantly battling the guilt of not working at every given minute. And this might happen to you too, even though taking breaks may sound great in theory. For a lot of us, it can be hard to see that it's actually helping our productivity. And adding to this, worrying about being unproductive in your break is only going to lead you to being more frustrated when you get back to work. And eventually this turns into a toxic cycle of worrying and frustration. Luckily, there is a fairly simple way to manage this guilt and make the most of your breaks. And that is to pre-plan your breaks. So this includes the big breaks that might be about half an hour or an hour long, as well as the shorter breaks, like the 5 to 10 minute breaks that you take throughout the day. Now, what I like to do while planning my bigger breaks is to set alarms to remind me to wind down and rest. And for me, I have one of these alarms to remind me to get lunch and one in the evening to remind me to start my wind down routine. And that helps me in two ways. First, because these breaks are pre-planned, there's no ambiguity or guilt about when I should be working. I know exactly when I should be working and when I should be on a break. And secondly, it also helps me to stay more motivated and work more intensely during my actual work hours, since I know I have a long break coming up, putting a bit of a time pressure on me. Whereas how I like to plan shorter breaks is by following the Pomodoro technique. So if you haven't heard about the Pomodoro technique, here's what it generally looks like as a step-by-step process. First, you're gonna choose one task and one task only. Once you choose the task, you're gonna set a timer for 25 minutes. What I like to do is set a timer on my computer. Now, with your timer set, you get to work on that task until the timer rings. And then once you are done with the task, you're gonna put a check mark on a tracker. And when a timer goes off, it is time to relax. So go ahead and take a 5-minute break. And you wanna repeat this cycle for about 3 or 4 rounds. And after you have ticked off that many tasks or Pomodoro cycles, you can take a longer break for about 10 to 15 minutes. Now, I know that 25 minutes doesn't sound like a lot of time, but that's 25 minutes of completely uninterrupted focus work. I use this technique every single day, normally 4 cycles in the morning and maybe 2 or 3 in the afternoon. And since I have started using this simple technique, my quantity and quality of work has skyrocketed. Now, the next aspect of taking breaks to improve your productivity is taking the right breaks. Because let's be honest here, sitting at your desk and scrolling through social media is not an effective break. So what is then a good break? So let's talk about the 4 types of breaks that I like to take. The first of one, which is the movement break. So unfortunately for most of us that have to work on a computer, human beings did involve to sit at a desk all day and type away. The fact of the matter is our bodies and our brains are built from the ground up to move a lot. So the simple fact of getting up from your chair and moving around a bit during your breaks is always a good idea. And even if it's something as simple as stretching your neck, not only is it gonna help you relieving that pain in your neck from crouching over a laptop all day, it's also going to help clear your mind. And that's all you have to do, something simple to get you moving. It could be a short walk in the park, a few stretches, or if you're working from home, maybe put on some tunes and just move a little bit. Just get moving. So that's the first type of break. The next type of break involves going out and being around nature. There's a concept in psychology that's called the nature deficit. And this is really about how nowadays we're spending more and more time indoors and less outdoors. Being out in nature actually helps increase our levels of happiness and even boost our productivity. By heading outdoors, you are gifting your brain the opportunity to rest and recharge. And you might have experienced this too. When you go out and take a small walk in the park, or sitting down under a tree, or watching some dogs in a park, like I do, you allow your mind to relax and you can clear your headspace. But if you don't have the luxury to do all this, you can try incorporating nature in some ways in your breaks. So if you're working from home, maybe you could keep a few potted plants in your house and take your break time to water them. Or maybe you could find a quiet window in your office which you can open up and get a little sunlight. And this idea of going out in nature to boost productivity is not just mine. There's plenty of examples of famous and highly productive outdoor enthusiasts, including Aristotle, Charles Dickens, Steve Jobs, and Barack Obama, who like to get outdoors for fresh air, inspiration, and creativity within their work. And a great way to incorporate this onto your breaks is to combine it with movement, or in other words, go for a walk outside. Alright, let's move on to the third type of breaks you need, the relaxation break. This type is simply a relaxation break and what it involves in any activity that helps you soothe your mind. You want to pick up an activity that engages a different part of your brain than your work does. And according to your work, this could be something like reading a short article or a few pages of a book, painting or coloring, doing some meditation, listening to some music, or what I like to do, brewing yourself a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. What this does is it helps you detach from your work and allow your subconscious brain to make the connections and work on your problems in the background. Sometimes detaching from your work and not focusing so intently on it can help you see it with a fresh perspective. And that is why we have so many of our eureka moments in the shower or while driving or taking a walk. The idea is to rest your mind so when you get back to work, you're refreshed. Finally, the last type of break, the social break. Now, before you think what I mean by a social break, here's what I don't mean by a social break. A social break does not involve checking social media or texting or even checking your email. These things all distract you, can tire you out, cloud up your mind, and make you very unproductive. What you should do instead is perhaps call a loved one, have a pre-planned break at the same time as a colleague you like and catch up with them, or get a snack with someone. Have a light meeting while you walk around the block with your colleague. Our brains are optimized to work with others. We are wired to be and work in tribes. So we need to make sure that we are regularly connecting with other people. And this makes way for a lot of new ideas and creativity. So the next time you pick up your phone during a break, try to call someone. So that's it for the type of breaks that I like to take from work and how they have helped me to increase my productivity. Let me know in the comments which type of break you prefer to take the most. While it can be hard to believe that breaks actually make you more productive, giving your mind that breather or a short period of relaxation can really go a long way in helping you stay focused while you are working. It helps you feel rejuvenated and often be the source of new and fresh ideas. When I reorganized my workday to include healthy breaks and start following the Pomodoro technique, my productivity went through the roof. I got frustrated with my work less often. I was more focused while working, and there was a major improvement in the quality of my work. And ideally, when you start planning good breaks into your work schedule, you should see huge improvements in your productivity too. If you like this video, you'll also love my next one where I talk about how to have 10 hours of deep work every single day. So go ahead and check that video right now, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.